Hello everyone and welcome to my channel on another video in our immigration chapter. In today's video I'm planning to talk to you about all the steps required to get a pharmacist license in Canada, and at the same time immigrate to Canada if you're not a Canadian permanent resident already or a Canadian citizen already. So hopefully by the end of the video you would know how to move from one step to another, which step to start with in order to apply for a pharmacist license and also apply for immigration, and how to move from one step to another, what are the most important things that you have to keep in mind, and a few tips that many of you might not know. So yeah, hopefully by the end of the video things will be much clearer and I'll remove any confusion that you might have about the process. Now, for those of you who are new on the channel, this channel is all about clinical pharmacy practice. I teach you how to become clinical pharmacists, how to advance your career. I also teach you how to pass the pharmacist OSCE exam, and there's a chapter about immigrating to Canada, obviously. So if you're interested in any of these topics, make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so that you get notified of my future videos. Now let's get started with this process with a little bit of introduction here. Of course, you might have heard or read about it, or somebody told you about the process. It's a very lengthy process and very exhausting process as well. Every pharmacist, international pharmacist, has to go through all these steps in order to become licensed in Canada, and it's not a cheap process as well. So we end up, like at the end of the process, we end up paying a lot of money in order to become pharmacists in Canada. But hopefully, once you get licensed, you will pay off all any debt you had or because of the process, or it will pay off eventually. So these are mainly the most important steps involved in the process. And as you can see, step one, applying for a document evaluation, which is what the or at least step one here on my screen is applying for document evaluation, which is what's mentioned on the Pharmacy Examining Board of Canada. Although this is actually not the first step, so you can see how the confusion can be created easily. This is mentioned on the Pharmacy Examining Board of Canada, and it says the document evaluation is the first step to register as a pharmacist or start your pharmacist registration process, but it's not actually true, and I'm going to tell you in a minute why. Registering with the Pharmacist Examining Board of Canada, registering with the Pharmacist Gateway Canada, apply for immigration if you haven't already, take the International Pharmacy Grad course, take the Jurisprudence exam, and then apply for a pharmacist license. And of course, registering with the Pharmacist Examining Board of Canada involves two other steps, which are taking the number one, taking the evaluating exam, and number two, taking the qualifying exams. All right, now that's a lot of steps. So where do you really start here? Should you start by contacting the Pharmacy Examining Board of Canada and asking to register or filling up their application forms, or what do you do here? Okay, let's go to the Pharmacist Gateway Canada. Okay, thank you, Bitdefender. My antivirus is wanting me to update. Let's hop onto the Pharmacist Gateway Canada website and see what do they recommend. And of course, this is the first step in the process to register with the Pharmacist Gateway Canada and choose a province where you want to be licensed. Now, you have to be very careful here. You can't just choose a province based on other people's experiences. You should know where do you want to practice, because different provinces have different laws, have different processes as well, and some provinces pay less in dollars than other provinces. So your pay, your monthly pay might be less in some provinces, or I should say your hourly pay, because we get paid in hours, by the hour. So your hourly pay might be different from one province to another. The jobs availability might be different as well. There might be more jobs in some provinces than others. For example, I'm going to give you an example. Ontario, one of the provinces, a huge province actually, and specifically Toronto, have lesser jobs and lower wages than any other province. So if you think that everybody is immigrating to Ontario and living in Toronto specifically, so I should do the same thing, you might want to rethink your choices, because a little bit of research goes a long way. So just look on any website that offers job opportunities for pharmacists in Canada, and see where are the jobs. Where can you find a lot of jobs offered, and how much are they paying? Some of them mention the pay as well, and decide based on these options. Also, you want to choose a province where you are able to live, and especially if you're bringing a family, if your family would actually be able to live in that province. Some provinces are really extremely cold. So are you going to be able to live in extreme cold weather? Some Canadians who grew up here most of the time cannot live in such extreme conditions and end up moving to another province. So do your research before picking a province, and don't just pick a province that everyone else picks. I know people who did the research and ended up in parts of Alberta. That's one of the provinces in Canada, in Calgary specifically, where it's not extremely cold, but also can get really cold in the winter. And the only reason they went there is because of they researched good schools, nice neighborhood, cheaper rent, or even if they want to buy a house, the prices were cheaper, and high hourly pay for as a pharmacist. And both husband and wife were pharmacists, so they were able to get paid really well and get a really nice life. Immigrating from, I think they immigrated from Dubai or somewhere where they had a higher lifestyle kind of a thing. So moving to Canada, they wanted something similar, or at least close enough. So do your research and choose based on that. Okay, so once you register with the Pharmacist Gateway Canada, you will receive a national ID number, and that national ID number will be used in the future. You will need it in the future, so keep track of that, keep record of that, and then you can apply for the PEBC document evaluation. Now, before applying for the document evaluation, you need to take an English language test. Now, one of the recommended tests is the most popular test is the IELTS academic version, and that's the one that you can find anywhere around the world. I believe there are other tests that you can sit for, but are only available in Canada. So if you're not in Canada, don't bother. The IELTS exam is what you should go for, and the PEBC requires the academic version of the exam. Now, there are two versions of this exam, the academic and the general versions. Now, here I have to give you an important note. Immigration Canada, if you're applying for immigration, also requires an English language proficiency test, and IELTS is one of those tests that they accept. However, they only accept the general IELTS exam results. So that means you have to take the exam twice, once as a general IELTS and once as an academic IELTS. In order to avoid that, the IELTS exam is not too expensive. I believe it's like 150 bucks or something, but still, you don't want to lose 150 bucks, and also you don't want to take an exam twice. That's so stupid. So talk to Immigration Canada and like email them, or I prefer emailing than calling. Email them and say, hey, I am a pharmacist, I'm applying to register as a pharmacist, and I'm also immigrating to Canada. This is the situation, and I don't want to take 2 exams. Would you accept the academic IELTS results instead of the general IELTS? Most of the time they will say yes, we would, but you have to have it in writing, because in the future, if you apply and they say, oh, you did the academic, we don't accept that, we want the general, you will have something in writing. Okay, but most of the time they will accept that, and then you would only do 1 IELTS exam, which is or will be the academic exam. By the way, the academic version of the IELTS is the actually more difficult than the general version, so you have to be prepared well. And remember my other video, there are other videos about immigration. One of the videos I talked about the results of IELTS and how much you should score at a minimum in order to achieve good points on the point system of the Immigration Canada. So with a more difficult IELTS exam, the academic one, it makes it more difficult to achieve those results. Try your best. Practice, practice, practice. I always say that to all my students, and you will achieve it. Keep that in mind. You will achieve a minimum of 7 in all modules. No excuses. But just keep that in your mind. Keep your mind away of any negative thoughts, and practice a lot. And then you, of course, buy some material to practice. Don't just practice by going online and reading about it. No, you need actual practice. So buy a book or something, wherever, CD or whatever you have in your country that teaches academic IELTS, and keep practicing over and over again. And then also do the online stuff if you want something extra, but don't rely only on online material. Alright, moving on to the second step here. After taking the IELTS exam, now you have the English proficiency results. You can apply for document evaluation with PEBC, and they will ask you for the results of your IELTS exam. Now, this step takes about 8 weeks for document evaluation. Have patience. I can't say anything else at this point. Everything takes time here in Canada, so just have a lot of patience. Once done, you can request an ECA report, which is basically the credential evaluation assessment record or wherever, and it costs about 150 extra bucks to get that one. Unfortunately, you need that report, so you have to pay that money, because you will need to submit that report to Immigration Canada. They will ask for it if you're applying as a skilled worker for your profession, which is pharmacist. Once you pay the fee, they will upload the report on your digital wallet, and it's good for 5 years. Now remember, this might seem like a lot of years here, 5 years. If you don't finish all your exams and pass all your exams and obtain a pharmacist license within 5 years, this report would be expired, and you would have to apply for another report. And I don't know what's the process for that. I've never seen anyone going that far. Most people who fail the PEBC exams just end up giving up and do some other job. So I don't know anyone who actually tried again after 5 years. The next step will be taking the evaluating exam. Once your PEBC document evaluation is completed successfully, you can apply for the evaluating exam. And the reason I say successfully is because some people failed the document evaluation step. So be very cautious with the document evaluation. Follow the steps They will require a lot of things to be sent directly from your school. Do whatever they want, and hope for the best. Now, the people I know who failed the document evaluation step were mainly either because their degrees are not equivalent to a pharmacist degree in Canada. They are pharmacists from other countries, but they only did like 3 years of pharmacy schooling or something like that. So it's not equivalent to a pharmacist degree in Canada. So that was one of the reasons. And some other schools were not accredited in Canada. Yeah, so just do whatever they want, be optimistic, and hopefully you will get that step done successfully, and then you can sit for the evaluating exam. Now, once you apply for the evaluating exam, I'm pretty sure they sent you specific dates that you have to sit for the exam on, and you cannot choose other dates. For example, if you apply today, and they will probably send you like a memo or an application or something to choose between May or November, for example, for the evaluating exam. I'm not 100% sure about the dates, but I'm just giving you an example. You'll have to choose between May 2023 or November 2023. You cannot choose a date in 2024, for example, if that's something you have in mind or you had in mind before. Okay, I'm gonna study for the rest of the year and take the exam next year. No, it's not gonna happen. They will send you whatever the closest dates are, and you have to choose one of them. So just keep that in mind. Once you pass the evaluating exam, you can now apply for the qualifying exam. 2 exams, one of them is MCQ, and the other one is the famous OSCE exam, which I also teach you on this channel. Some people apply, or you're capable of applying to take both exams close to each other. However, like take one today and the other one tomorrow or in a week or so, I would not recommend that. No matter how prepared you are, I would recommend to give yourself enough time to practice for the OSCE, even if you already practiced a lot. The stress of any exam, and specifically the MCQ exam, can affect your performance in the OSCE exam. So give yourself enough time to re-practice for the OSCEs, even if it's going to be a few months. It doesn't matter. Just practice, and give yourself time to get out of the stress of other exams like the MCQ exam. Now, in case you haven't noticed, you probably cannot apply for any exam unless you pass the previous exam. So you pass the evaluating exam and then you apply for the qualifying exam. But it takes time for the results to come out. So by the time you finish your evaluating exam, you sit for it, you're done. It takes a few months to get your results, and then you have to apply for the next upcoming qualifying exam if you still haven't met the deadline for the application. So it would be another few months, and so on. And that's why the process to become licensed in Canada as a pharmacist takes at least a year and a half or so. Just something to keep in mind. For it might be a question for some of you. The next step is to take the International Pharmacy Grad exam, course. However, this actually can happen at any point after passing the evaluating exam. So it doesn't have to wait until now to apply for the course. But I would say do one thing at a time. You don't want to crowd yourself up taking exams and also taking a course. That's a lot, especially that this course has nothing to do with the exams, with the qualifying exams. So it's not going to benefit you in the qualifying exam, not so much, maybe a little bit, but not so much. It's basically about practicing in Canada. So I would say take all the exams first and then take the course, but it's totally up to you. Once you pass the evaluating exam, if you want to take the course, it's totally up to you. The course is about 24 weeks long. It can vary between provinces, 24, 26, 22 weeks, or whatever. But it's around that much, about that long, and it's mainly online, so you don't have to come to Canada in order to take the course. I know in some provinces you still have to do a practical, like a practicum, but I believe that this is afterwards, not during the same course. So later on, they might ask you to do some practicum as well, which would require you to be in Canada to do. Now, this course also requires language proficiency, which we've been talking about since the beginning of the video. Let's say you already did the IELTS academic version, then you will just submit your results to this course in order to as one of the requirements in order to register for the International Pharmacy Grad course. So you don't really have to take another IELTS unless it has been already 2 years and your IELTS expired, because IELTS test results expire in 2 years. You have to redo it if it's been 2 years or longer. And that's why you have to finish all the steps before 2 years. That's my recommendation. Once you hit the 2-year period, you have to retake your IELTS exam, and then you're only left with another 2 or 3 years before you lose your ECAA report, and you don't want to be that late. So I keep saying practice, but don't take that long in practice. The sixth step, are you tired already? So, the Jurisprudence exam. Now you've passed all the exams, you have taken the course, you have to do some other exam, which is the pharmacy law exam. They call it the Jurisprudence exam here. And the problem with this exam, this is a very easy exam. You just have some material to read. It's all about laws, pharmacy laws, and whatnot. The problem with this exam is that it's a specific exam for the province you're applying for. What do I mean by that? Let's say you're applying to become a licensed pharmacist in Ontario, and then you work in Ontario as a pharmacist, you don't like it, and you want to move to somewhere else. You want to move to Saskatchewan or Alberta or British Columbia or somewhere else. The good thing is you can transfer your license to that province, so you don't have to go through all the process again, but you have to take the pharmacist jurisprudence exam for the new province you're moving to. So every time you move from one province to another, and you want to move your license with you, you have to take the jurisprudence exam. I used to be licensed in 2 different provinces, Alberta and British Columbia, and I had to take the jurisprudence exam for both provinces. And if I would be licensed in a 3rd province, I would still have to take the jurisprudence exam in that province. So that's the annoying part of it. They did not really unify those tests for all provinces. Each province had their own laws, pharmacy laws. There may be some differences between one province to another. So I wouldn't really recommend to keep 2 different licenses in 2 different provinces or even more. Just pick a province and keep your license active in that province. I ended up canceling my Alberta pharmacist license because I ended up not having to work in Alberta ever. I've been working in BC for all my life, so unless you really want to do travel assignments, like you'll travel from one province to another and do relief pharmacist jobs between provinces, you don't really need to keep 2 different licenses in 2 different provinces or more. Plus, remember one thing: you apply for the pharmacist registration in each province, which costs about $900, maybe more. So that's every year. Plus, you have to apply for liability insurance, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So that's a lot of costs. You have to weigh that against, is it worth it or not, But yeah, I thought I should let you know that jurisprudence exam is specific for the province you're applying for. Moving on, I don't know how to spell pharmacist, obviously. The final step, obtaining a pharmacist license. Now you've done all the steps that they require from you. You can apply to obtain a pharmacist license, and here you have to contact the College of Pharmacists in whichever province you're applying for. So if it's Ontario, it'll be the College of Pharmacists in Ontario. If it's BC, it'll be the College of Pharmacists in BC, and so on. And then you have to pay the fees to obtain a pharmacist license. In BC, it's about $895 per year, and they will require you to apply for a liability insurance. So you have to contact a insurance company and ask for liability insurance and how much it costs. My tip for you is to shop around and see which insurance company offers the best deal. They vary a lot. They can vary a lot. Yeah, like you can end up saving maybe $100 or so on insurance, liability insurance. So just shop around and see which is better. I have liability insurance with a company that offers the same insurance in 2 different provinces. So if I would ever move out of BC to that other province, I'm already covered with liability insurance, so I don't have to pay for extra insurance for the other province I'm moving to. So yeah, shop around and get the best deal. It will be at least $200, so don't expect less than that. It could be more than that, but yeah, if for the $2 million liability, it's about $200. And that's it. You're done. You have a pharmacist license now. You can work wherever you want in that province. You can start contacting employers, or you can even just have a LinkedIn account and say open to work, and people will be contacting you from everywhere. That's another way to get jobs in Canada. A few other important tips I wanted to mention in this video. In the document evaluation process, you have to ask your pharmacy school to mail the documents, like your transcripts and certificates, directly to PEBC. It cannot go to you or anyone else before going to PEBC, which is so annoying. Like, this is one of the most annoying steps I've ever seen in my life. But yes, pharmacy school will have to put the documents in an envelope and seal it and send it directly to PEBC, and it has to be a courier. It cannot even be regular mail, which I have in red here. Anything mailed to PEBC must be couriered. It's must. And that's on the PEBC website as well. So some schools do not send stuff on behalf of students. Some schools do not use a courier service, and especially international courier as well. So you will have to figure something out. I know a lot of students that faced trouble with this step, but they figured it out. So you have to figure something out in order for the envelope of your certificates and transcripts to be sent directly from your school using a courier service. Another tip is that PEBC application forms require proper witnessing, and they will give you the definition of what a proper witness is. So make sure you follow their instructions. Don't do something that would result in the cancellation of your document evaluation or the failure of the whole process because you did something wrong. So just see what they want for proper witnessing and do that thing. One of the proper witnesses would be a licensed pharmacist in Canada, for example. You can use a licensed pharmacist in Canada to sign on your application, and that's all. Another proper witness would be a notary public service. If you have a notary public service where you live, I know some countries don't have a notary public service, so You might need to use a lawyer, but again, remember that everything, like any stamp or signature on your application form, must be in English language. So if you're coming from a country that doesn't speak English, speaks French or whatever, Arabic or whatever other language, and they use that language for their stamps or signatures, then you'll have to translate the whole thing, and that's just annoying. So yeah, be very careful with the witness you choose, and try to shop around as well and find a witness that uses English language and knows about this, and just use their services. Even if they're more expensive, doesn't matter. The whole process is actually expensive, so it doesn't matter at this point. So yeah, these are the tips I have for you today. I hope that this removes the confusion that any of you might have in regards to the pharmacist application in Canada, and also the immigration process. Of course, one common question that comes up, can I apply for both immigration and pharmacist license at the same time? Yes, you could, but remember that there is a timeline for everything. So once you apply for immigration, if they require the ECA report sooner than 8 weeks, then that would be a waste, right? You can't really control when you're going to get the ECA report from PEBC. So just try to manage time. But yes, you can apply for both processes together, and I actually recommend that. And also, don't forget to communicate with the Immigration Canada in order to accept your academic IELTS results instead of your general IELTS results. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi everyone, don't forget to check out the Pharma ePass website. They have a complete course for the preparation for PEBC exams, whether it's the evaluating exam, the MCQ Part 1 exam, or the OSCEs. You name it, they have it on their website. Really great notes and learning modules, and they have an exam generator as well, and so many information that will definitely benefit you for in your PEBC exams. Don't forget to use my code. I have a code, discount code with them that anyone is free to use. I don't need it anymore. It's in the description. Just basically JR200, and you'll get $200 discount on any course you pick. Good luck to everyone.